Atalanta, and we're here at Magic City Conjure in Birmingham, Alabama with Aleaseya. And she's going to educate us a little bit on Voodoo, Hoodoo, Vodon. If I missed anything else?
Vodun, Voodoo, Hoodoo, and that's it.
And that's it. Okay, so we're going to just cover what it is, the differences, misconceptions, and just what it's all about. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
So first of all, can you please introduce yourself?
I'm Aleaseya. Orifa Aleaseya. I walk the current path right now of Voudon, Aleaseya, which is straight from Africa. That is the roots of how all of these things started. Voudon, Voodoo, and some type of hoodoo. Not all of hoodoo. So yes, that's who I am. That's what I do. I am crowned Omo Shango, which makes me a child of Shango. I'm not a full initiate yet. Hopefully next week I will be. Which means that I will come with an official name or birthright name. So yes, that's what I do.
That just sounds amazing, confusing, all that good stuff. So
That's a lot.
It's just a lot. It's
It
a lot.
is.
So yeah, can you kind of tell us, just a little bit of the differences between each one? Because I know people get them mixed up all the time.
Of course. So Vudun, that is Vodun, that is Ifa. So basically, where all of the Voodoos came from, it all started in Africa. Vudun per se is it's the origins. How Voodoo, which is Haitian Voodoo, Kondo, Quimbanda, all of Santeria, all of the other Voodoos are derivatives of slave trade. So when the cross-Atlantic slave trade happened, it kind of took all people who practiced Vodun or from Africa. It took them to different parts of the world. So Voodoo or Voodoo, that is Haitian, Quimbanda. So that is how Vodun got there, was due to slavery. So it is a little different setup. They, instead of Orishas, Voodoo or Voodoo, they worship Loas. And Loas are demigods in some sense. So in one way or another, they walk the earth. So that is the difference between a Loa and an Orisha. Yes, we do have some Orishas who have physically walked the earth. Shango is one of them. And then Hoodoo is, again, due to slavery. So basically, the Voodoos and the Voodoos and the Vudons all hit America, which basically, due to slavery, they had no choice. You worship Christianity or you died. So in order to mask their Vudun traditions and other traditions that they brought over with them, they did it in a form of hoodoo. So that is the origins of hoodoo and how hoodoo got here. And hoodoo is American based. So you'll only find origins of hoodoo here in America.
So hoodoo is kind of like folk magic, right? Similar?
It is. It's basically the results of slaves taking what they had to make work, which is very similar to folk magic. They took what they needed and made it work.
Please compare Ifa to like how you have like paganism, different types of witchcraft, different paths. Is that like an umbrella term, or is that like a particular?
That is a particular practice.
Okay.
Vodun or Voodoo is the umbrella.
I got you. Okay.
So when you hear voodoo, we always ask, well, what are you voodooing? What voodoo are you voodooing?
And yours is Ifa.
Mine is Ifa.
What are some other examples? Just a couple.
Lukumi is another form of Ifa, which is not Aleaseya.
Okay.
So Aleaseya is the defined practice. So you do Aleaseya or you do Lukumi, and Lukumi is more Latin based.
Okay.
So basically, again, migrating to Latin countries, and that's how you got Lukumi. And Aleaseya is strictly African.
Okay. So there's so many. All right. This is going to be side note. Santeria. Does that have anything to do with any of those practices?
Yes, it's a form of voodoo.
Okay.
And that is a derivative from Aleaseya. Not Aleaseya, Lukumi.
Now, with Santeria, don't you use saints?
Yes, they use
do
saints.
That with hoodoo, right?
Yes,
Okay,
you can use saints in hoodoo. Think about it. It's Bible based.
Mm-hmm.
So their reference to certain saints comes from the Bible. But it's masked within other spirits or deities.
I gotcha. Okay, there's just so much.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So
it's a lot.
we've kind of covered, a little brief synopsis of all the different things.
Mm-hmm.
Let's explore your path, and
Okay.
please share with us whatever you can. I know some of it you have to keep private.
Yes.
But I just kind of want to pick your brain because
Okay.
it's hard to find. It's hard to find somebody who's knowledgeable. Okay, so in the practice, first of all, how do you learn it? Who do you go to?
Well, you have a structure system. So, for beginners, if you are curious about Isheshe, we all have certain titles, certain permissions to allow. So, you would start off as an Aleo. Aleo is the term outsider. So, you're only allowed to observe. And how you acquire those paths is through divination. Diliogun, Dafa, Akin.
Those are different types of divination?
Those are different kinds of reading styles.
Okay.
And they can only be done by a Babalao or Padrino, which you will find in Santeria, and you also will find a Padrino in Lukumi.
I actually had a reading from a Babalao.
See? And that's how it goes. Like, it has to be revealed through divination that is the path that you're supposed to walk.
Somebody else's divination for you, like the divining for you, or do you do it yourself?
No, you would go to a Babalao.
It has to be a Babalao.
Mm-hmm. So the reason why is because a Babalao, in the form of Ifa in general, you have priestesses. They come with certain permissions, and in the setup of Isheshe, our god, or the god, the highest form of god, is called Olodumare. And then you have the witness to creation, which is Orunmila. And Orunmila is the Orisha of destiny.
Oh, wow.
So when you are a Babalao, you have the working rights to work with Orunmila.
There's actually different, basically, levels. And like you said, permissions. You're only allowed to practice this area or practice that area.
Correct. Until it's divined differently.
Okay. Yeah, because, in comparison with just witchcraft, you can kind of do anything with witchcraft.
Right.
Yes, you have to go through initiations and things like that, but it just seems like this is much more structured and organized. I don't like.
Well, it's considered a religion. So, Voodoos, all of the Vodon, Voodoos, they are organized religions.
But Hoodoo isn't, right?
No.
Okay,
and that's the difference. Hoodoo is a practice. It is a set of practices. It teaches you certain skills or how to use certain what to acquire a certain goal.
Okay.
And in Vudun, in most of the Voodoos, it's more about personal power, personal structure. We have Odus, 256 of them actually, which gives you character. Then we have 16 principles that teaches you a structured life, how to be the best individual in this life.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong here.
Okay.
Voodoo and the different types of voodoo is a religion. So it's basically your spiritual path, whereas hoodoo is practicing is it magic? You consider it
it's a form of folk magic, basically. It is something that a group of people chose to take certain tools to acquire a certain means.
Do you have to practice magic do you have to practice hoodoo to believe in the voodoo religion?
No. We have a lot of people who have no spiritual background who practice Vudun or Voodoo.
Okay.
So you can come in literally with no knowledge. And if it's divine for you that this is the path you're supposed to do, then you are free to explore said path with rules.
Okay, there are so many different websites out there teaching hoodoo, voodoo, all the different things. How do you know what's reputable? Do you suggest first reading books? I know you've kind of mentioned some books to me. You can mention those for our viewers, but do you start with that, and then do you have to have somebody to practice under? I'm assuming you do.
Well, with Hoodoo, you don't necessarily need a mentor. Mentors are always great.
Okay.
They always make things a little bit more structured and a little bit more understanding. But when you are reading books and working materials, you are reading from a perception of how that person does hoodoo.
I gotcha.
Hoodoo, basically, and I hate to say this, and I know I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash for saying this, but you are hoodoo. If you don't have that personal power within yourself, then your hoodoo is never going to hoodoo. So, yes, it's great to have a structured idea of what hoodoo is. Mm-hmm. But really, it's more of respecting the lineage that brought that hoodoo to you. Okay. Now, books are great. Again, working Conjure, that's one of my first mentors, Orifa Aleaseya. He is awesome. Rest in peace. But I love him to death. He gave me a clear understanding of the balance of hoodoo and conjure.
Oh,
and a lot of people don't understand that hoodoo is separate from conjure. Conjuring is working with spirits. It's being able to invoke spirits, working with spirits. Ancestor work is conjure work. A lot of hoodoo practitioners have an ancestor background like myself. Mm-hmm. I started due to ancestral work. So
that makes sense.
Yes, you can always get an idea, practical sense of what hoodoo is, but again, you are hoodoo.
You are hoodoo.
So you got to learn how to hoodoo on your own, but yes, it's great to always have great mental points for that. Okay. So working Mojo, that's a great hoodoo book. Working Conjure is a great hoodoo book. There's so many of them out there. But it's just always being able to research the person that you are reading on.
Hoodoo is the actual practice, which is similar to folk magic. We're just kind of reviewing this. Conjure is the work with like ancestor spirits, things like that. Mm-hmm. Voodoo is the religion or path that you're on.
Right.
So it's kind of separate. You don't have to practice all three.
You can, but you can't. It's going to be very confusing if you did.
Okay, and you have certain, like you said, permissions, kind of rules with voodoo for sure.
Oh yeah, everything has to have permission.
Okay, but with hoodoo, you're good because it's your own practice.
Mm-hmm. And you, of course, with hoodoo, you variate with ethics.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of like you use ethics to help you see whatever you're doing is warranted, or if it's okay, or if it's going to work. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So
I do divination on everything.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't. So it's kind of like when you don't have the accessibility for divination, then ethics is where you would go.
Gotcha. Conjuring, certain rules with that? Working conjure?
I mean, we won't say rules. We'll say it's certain etiquettes that you practice. So let's
doing it properly.
Right, going to the graveyard. A lot of people do not have good rules. They think they can just walk into the graveyard with your head uncovered.
They're rude.
Grabbing stuff. It's like, yeah. No, you're going to definitely walk away with something on you in that manner. Mm-hmm. Right? So for hoodoo practitioners, when you do graveyard work or any type of conjure work, you always are paying the spirit. You always are paying for everything that you do. From entering the graveyard, you're going to put your 3 pennies down, you're going to put your some gin down, and that is to, get permission from whoever is guarding that cemetery. A lot of people, that's where you come in to the Papa Legbas and the Oyas and all of that type of area. So you're paying your way to allow yourself to come in to work with these spirits. So then whenever you collect your dirt, you are paying for that dirt.
Mm-hmm. You're exchanging out.
You're exchanging out energy. Okay. If you're putting workings in the cemetery, you are paying for all the stuff that you do. And that's a lot of things that people don't understand.
They just go in there and recap.
You're just grabbing stuff. And that's just not even with cemetery work. That goes on to any type of work you're doing. If you are using something from a location or an area, you pay for everything.
Or if you're working with a spirit.
So it's all about your etiquette when it comes down to how you choose to work.
Is it safe for you to share with our audience, the viewers, how to properly collect graveyard dirt?
Oh yeah. Okay. So we're going to the cemetery, right? We pulled up to the gates. So you're gonna get out. You're gonna always make sure you park where you're not looking back. The reason why is because spirits chase you when you look back. That's why you have a lot of workings where they say don't look back once you drop it. So we're at the gates. Once you come to the gate, you're going to make sure your head is covered before you even step across the threshold. So that means you can wear a hat like I'm wearing. You can wear a scarf. You can wear a hood. You can wear whatever is going to cover your head. The reason why is because your highest self, your crown, is super sensitive when it's not covered, when it's not protected. And spirits are spirits. Spirits do love to ride people who are ignorant to certain things. So we always cover our head. Now, once we get to the gate, we're going to leave 3 pennies down. Me personally, I leave 3 pennies down because of Eshu. Or Papa Legba. He protects all ways. That's just what it is. If it's a gate or if it's a door, you're going to pay to enter. So we left our 3 pennies down, or our gin or rum or whatever. And now we're entering the gates. So we're doing something for protection. We're looking for something to protect us. So we're going to look for a particular grave that represents that energy of protection. Police officers, firemen, soldiers, stuff of that nature. So once I walk up to this soldier tomb that I have found, I am going to, number 1, talk to him, acknowledge his presence, acknowledge his energy. And then I'm going to pay for his dirt. So I'm going to ask him. I'm pretty sure he's going to be like, yeah, whatever, because spirits love attention. And you're going to dig it up. And once you dig up that dirt, you are going to put pennies in the ground or rum or gin into the dirt. Grab your dirt. Leave the cemetery. Always have something like sage or Florida water in the car with you. Once you get into your car, sage, cleanse, wipe yourself down. Then when you leave, when you drive away, take your cap off, hoodie, whatever it is. And that is how you properly secure anything from the graveyard. Dirt, leaves, trees, whatever it is that you're there for. That's how you collect it.
Okay. Let's explore misconceptions.
Okay.
Maybe start with voodoo.
Okay.
Okay.
A big misconception in voodoo is that the Orisha will solve all of your problems. You can just go drop an offering and they will fix everything just like that. That's the biggest misconception. The reason why that is a misconception is because voodoo and Vodon, just all of the voodoos in general, require self-sacrifice.
Okay.
So that means self-restraint, things, taboos, advisories, all of those things. And a lot of people think that just working with the Orisha is just a magic pill. And once you work with them, they're just going to clear everything away.
They're going to fix it for you.
They continue to do the same things that put them in that position where they are catching all of the problems. So that is one of the biggest misconceptions in voodoo.
You don't ask for help and then continue the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an addict,
right,
that's asking for help, but
you still want to do drugs.
They're calling their drug dealer.
Still doing drugs. So that is like the number 1 misconception in voodoo.
Okay.
It's the spirits.
What about the fact that it's evil? It's baneful.
Oh my goodness, that is due to Hollywood. Hollywood taking all of the things that we hold sacred and flipping it into some demonic, evil darkness.
Do you think it's also because usually people of color practice voodoo, and there's, of course, trying to, you have to stay down and blah, 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 you know?
Yes, they make it dark and spooky and evil, and that's not the case. I've never met a voodoo practitioner who is just what it has been like on the skeleton key or any other voodoo or conjure inspired work. I've never met one.
What about somebody who practices voodoo and you want to get back at someone and you pay them to get back at someone?
That's not how it works.
It was on TV.
Yeah, everything is, again, justified. So if someone did do a malicious act to you, even then, it still has to be justifiable that it is hindrance towards you.
They were harassing you.
Right.
But you were wearing an outfit and rubbing up on somebody, but he hit on you, so I'm mad now.
Right. So a lot of people think that, and it's like, no, that's not. You can't just do something because you feel like you're justified in doing it. Because a lot of people, when evil things happen or when people do things to people, you have to really put under the magnifying glass of what put that person in that position.
Yeah, they want to blame everyone.
Yeah, so what did you do to put this person in a position to do those things to you?
What about the people that you meet that claim they practice voodoo and they'll do anything for you for the right money?
Yeah, they don't practice voodoo. They do not practice. Well, the thing is, I mean, and right now it is a big thing in the voodoo community where all these imposters, they are getting dragged.
I was going to ask you about that. It's like a fad right now. Voodoo and hoodoo, especially hoodoo, is a big fad. And that's where you get the incorrect practice.
Correct, and that's thank you to TikTok
And
and YouTube. Like, they have made it so, like, in a position where it's hard for you to trust a lot of reputable practitioners out here.
What's a question you can ask someone to kind of not test them but test them? Do you know what I mean? You meet somebody and they say, "Oh yeah, I practice the path of voodoo. I practice hoodoo, and I know this." What could have helped me whenever I wanted to practice hoodoo, not voodoo, hoodoo? And I'm new and fresh. This was 8 years ago that this started. Had I known the right questions to ask, I probably could have saved myself a lot of trouble.
Well, with hoodoo, you can always ask the forms of practice that they practice within. So it's kind of like, okay, what is your structure in practicing hoodoo? Is it more hands-in work-based, or is it more conjure, ancestral based? How long have you been an actual practitioner? Who are some of the people that you look up to for certain reference points? Because it doesn't matter how long you practice hoodoo, you're always going to look
And you're learning.
Yeah, it's always learning. It's never a point in any path where you're just not going to learn.
And maybe just ask them, what's the difference between conjure work and hoodoo? What's the difference?
Right.
If they don't know the difference.
So it's just more about that, like seeing how
They
long
have to
this
live
person,
the life.
right?
Okay.
Ask them about their daily routines. Ask them about basic structures and doing workings. Especially if you come into hoodoo already kind of established in doing work, you know the right working versus
Right.
you know if this
You
looks
have
right
ethics.
and it doesn't look
Right,
right.
and it doesn't look
Right. So I mean, hoodoo is a little bit more trickier to define versus voodoo.
Right,
When
because
it comes
voodoo
to-
has it's set this way.
Well, you have birthrights. You have a path. So we call it lineages. So when you are dealing with anybody in voodoo, you're going to ask them their lineage. What is your lineage? Who taught you this? Who taught that person that? You have a whole lineage. Like my lineage for Vodon and Ifa, basically, I am out of Oduduwa Temple from out of Brazil. My mentor and my Babalao is Babalao Teju Ajala. His mentor is Olo Wufag Bamilia. Like, so you
That's
should,
important to know. If they don't know it,
Mhm.
then they don't have it.
Right. So you don't have a lineage, so that means therefore you're not in practice. You're still considered an Aleo in some sense. Like, you're still an outsider because you don't have lineage. So therefore it does not give you the right to do what you're doing.
Okay.
So
What
a lot
about
of
hoodoo
people,
then? It's
well,
harder?
hoodoo is more harder to define because again, everybody hoodoo is different.
Right.
There is no A, B, C, D to hoodoo, but it is ethics. So it's like, what is your routine? How do you do this? What put you in this path for doing that? How long have you been practicing? Do you work in conjure? So you have to pretty much define a standard for you to make you feel okay with what this person knows. So if they don't know anything, then you need to bypass them.
And
If
you
they're
need to
just
have basic
working
knowledge,
candles,
though. You need to have basic knowledge, like what the difference is, and yeah, you should have that prior to even trying to work with someone.
right,
You can't just trust them,
correct.
for their work.
Mm-hmm.
Conjure work. There's certain ethics that you practice with conjure work, and respect. What about working, if somebody teaching you conjure work, like the basic, it's individually, right? Like how they...
It's very much like hoodoo.
Right.
It's
It's
like you
individual.
all have your own practice. It's like the way that you work with them. But again, you have to make sure that that working process is at a standard where it's not going to promote harm or hurt or detriment towards you and others.
Okay. Here's one for you. Okay, we have voodoo dolls, we have puppets, they're evil.
No, they can be evil. Like,
Right.
but
Anything of
they can be used against someone, but also puppets are used for healing things.
Right.
Voodoo dolls are aimed to attract and draw things.
Can you have a voodoo doll if you practice hoodoo?
Yes,
Or you
actually
just call it a
can.
puppet?
Well, the thing is, the voodoo doll is a puppet.
Right, it is
Yeah.
a puppet, but can you call it a voodoo doll?
Well, it's a voodoo doll due to New Orleans voodoo.
Okay.
So New Orleans voodoo is the voodoo with 2 O's on Vu and Do. That's the only word, the only place in the world that you're gonna find that in is in New Orleans voodoo. Everything else is VODOU, VODUN. So New Orleans voodoo is the only one where they termed puppets or dolls as voodoo dolls.
It's not existing anywhere.
It does not exist anywhere else. And Voudon, we call them spirit dolls.
Okay.
They're not made customary to a voodoo doll. We actually sell spirit dolls here. They're made of sticks and blessed trees and all that type of stuff. But voodoo dolls, the actual doll babies that you can put little needles and stuff through, that is customary to New Orleans voodoo.
Wow.
You won't find it nowhere else.
When I make my puppets, I use Spanish moss. I actually use socks, or I just take material. My voodoo. See, I'm saying voodoo doll. I'm getting out of that practice. My puppets are handmade, and it's stuff from around the house. Socks, just material. They don't even really look like a doll, to be honest with you. But I try to get them. They don't. I try to get them. And they were created originally for healing and helping people, not the evil that's attached to it.
Correct. But they all have, even coming down to how you hang them. Like some people hang their voodoo dolls, some people hang their puppets, some people hang their spirit dolls. You have a lot of people who don't. We have stuff called moppets where that is an extension of your energy that is creating a spirit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. So that's what moppets are. With moppets, you're going to sleep with them and groom them and give them assignments and all of those things.
Give them little jobs and stuff. You pay them?
Right. You can pay them.
Okay.
But mostly they feed off of the energy you push into them.
So it's an extension of you?
It's technically a little spirit of you.
When I practice bones, which by the way, my lineage is, Native American, African, Southern Hoodoo. But that's the basic throw that I teach. All those other throws are created for me.
Right.
With that in mind. And I know where I was taught. I know where he was taught. I don't know before them. It's a family thing. I tell my students how important it is to know your lineage. Correct. Know what you are practicing. What are you throwing? And why? Why are you throwing it this particular way? So yes, lineage is important. What forms? Okay, divination for the voodoo versus the hoodoo. Is there? You throw cards.
I throw cards. I do obiabata. I do 16 shells. So I do different forms of divination. Hoodoo does not have a divination system. A lot of people do not know that. Right. There is no hoodoo system.
But there is in voodoo.
Yes.
Can you only do certain things in voodoo? Like they have particular. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. Okay. In voodoo, we cast with certain things. Cowrie shells. We use obi, which is a colonnade.
Okay.
That is a particular colonnade we use from a tree. We use that in certain castings. So if we're trying to cast to see what offering the Orisha or the Egungun want that day, we're going to cast with obi.
Can you just make something up, or is it along the lines of this is the way it's done?
Everybody does not get to divine in Vodon Voodoo. Okay. So it's not like, we'll just use you for an example. You come in and you see the enchantment of the oracle and you're like, well, let's divine. No. It has to be casted. Romula has to say, you are a diviner. You get to read. You don't
get to just do things because you want to.
No, and then those shells have to be blessed and consecrated by a Babalao or an Ianifa or a particular Olorisha of that.
And you have to follow this, and this. These are your choices. Or no, they're actually assigned to you. I'm a voodoo practitioner, or is that what you say, practitioner?
Yes, I am a Vudun practitioner.
Vudun practitioner. I'm going to use thread for my divination. You can't do that.
No.
Okay, but in Hoodoo you can.
Yes. Right. Because it's not an assigned divination system in Voodoo.
You can do anything.
So you can create your oracles, and people do that all the time. Regardless of you doing Hoodoo. I know a lot of eclectic witches too. They create their own oracle. I have created my own oracle, but it's not in the sense of in a Vudun standard.
Right. Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So me, in order for me to become a diviner, it has to be assigned to me. Orumila has to say that is your path, is for you to be a diviner. And
can you pick whatever type of divination, or do
it comes in steps? So traditionally in Ifa or Isheshe or Lukumi, you're going to start off small. Obiabata. Obiabata is 4 cowrie shell reading. So you're going to cast your 4 calories until you learn how to read 12 calories.
Is it yes and no? Is it just yes and no with the 4?
Those are a little different.
Okay.
It does do yes and no's, but also those yes and no's turn into, like, we have one casting where you can cast an Aleaseya, which is a definite yes. Okay. You can do a tawa. A tawa is maybe not.
Okay.
So it's according on how it falls and your eye for what you're seeing.
Okay.
That's pretty much how it is. And then 16 calories have defined meanings. So we'll just use my daddy's cast of Obata. Obata is 6 up and 10 down.
This sounds very complicated.
So yeah, it is. It's a whole system.
It's interesting. Okay, so that's a whole nother show. Mm-hmm. We're gonna have you back on many times. I have that feeling. Mm-hmm. What called you to that path, to the Vudun path?
Well, I did Hoodoo for so long that I did not, and then my dad's side is formal Haitian. So when I was 14, you had to learn Haitian Voodoo. Like, that's what you did. And for me, it just didn't fit right at that time.
I was going to ask you what took so long.
Yeah, it just didn't fit at that time. I was like,
I'm like, dude, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I did Hoodoo for so long, and I was like, it got to be something else. And I got a reading from my Babalao. And he was like, Haitian is not where you're going to start, but you will be there eventually.
So
and I just fell in love with it.
Babalao can guide you even with Hoodoo, because remember I told you I had a reading with a Babalao. Okay, that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, Babalao readings are open to the public. It's just that is a particular divination that can only be done by him. But he also can tell you, he speaks directly to your ancestors. He just speaks directly to the Orisha. So whoever wants you, whatever path that your destiny is supposed to fulfill. And at that time, I fulfilled my destiny within Hoodoo. So it was time for me to learn the roots. It was time for you to go on.
Do you think you're going to continue that path, or is it a path that is a lifetime?
Well, I feel like right now it's taking a lifetime. But no, it's something that I feel like, yes, I'm going to explore it until I can explore it more. And I do feel like it will be more for me to do in different areas, different paths. I mean, I am Haitian, so I really...
But you'll continue down that... Is that considered nature-based by chance? I don't know.
What do you mean?
The path, the Voodoo... I mean, I know Hoodoo is nature-based.
Yeah, Hoodoo's... Well...
Because you're working... I don't know if you would call that. Would you call it that?
No, I wouldn't call Vodon nature-based. Okay. I wouldn't call really any of the Voodoos
because they're
nature.
A religion.
Yeah, it's more action-tory based. Like, it requires constant action. It requires constant reflection. Yes, you do take certain things to create certain things, but no. It's more of personal purpose, fulfilling personal purpose, keeping yourself accountable. Again, we have 16... we're going to call them rules, but 16 rules to help you be the best variation of person possible. So you can understand what life can really bring and what you can contribute.
Life-changing thing. I had a reading from a Babalao. Why did he tell me that Shanga and Yamaya was walking with me? Why would he tell me that if I don't practice Voodoo?
No, you always will have an Orisha following you at that particular time. So that does not mean that you're a child of that particular Orisha, but that's the one who's working with you at that moment.
But don't work with them if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, basically. It's a system of doing it. Like everybody knows, you start with Eshu first. Eshu is Papa Legba. That goes across any tradition of Voodoo. You're going to talk to that man first.
What if I'm not Voodoo though? And so I don't address them then, right?
You don't have to, but at the same time, it's more of they're working with you. These are the ones that's helping you.
Even if I'm not Voodoo.
Even if you're not
They're
Voodoo,
there.
They're there.
Should I acknowledge them? I'm not Voodoo. Should I acknowledge them?
You can acknowledge their presence, but you cannot formally introduce yourself.
Don't make an altar.
Yeah, it's like you can stand around the table, but don't sit down.
Can you give them stuff? Can you offer?
No.
Okay.
Without divination, you can't.
But you can
offer.
talk to them and acknowledge them, and then keep it short.
You can always work if you are interested in working with the Orisha. Your starting point is always going to be with Eshu or Papa Legba.
Okay.
The reason why is because he is the most flexible, universal Orisha Lawa that we have. He's open to outsiders. He's open to people who are unfamiliar.
Which is why you don't have to be voodoo to work with Papa Legba, correct?
Mm-hmm. You do not have to be voodoo. He's the only one that
He's
will
the
accept
only
you.
one.
The only
There's
one.
no others. Okay, this is making much more sense.
Yeah, like when you go to the table, you go to see issue first. Now, let's say this. If you do get a reading by Babalao, and he said, in any Babalao reading, he's going to give you an offering to give. He's going to give you a prescription. This particular Orisha or your ancestors want this. Well, most people are like, well, if I don't work with them, how would I give them that? Through Papa Legba.
Okay, because he's the gateway.
He's the intermediary. He's the one that he works with everybody. He takes whatever you need. He makes sure everyone gets what they need.
All right. Okay.
So he's the fair one out of the group.
All right, but that's it.
That's it. That's it until you are instructed through later things.
In voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In Voodoo.
All right. All right. So I know that you teach.
I do.
You have classes. You practice divination.
I do.
Let's see what else you do. What else do you do? You do workings.
I do working. I'm working.
Is there anything you don't do?
Maybe. I don't know. Not sure.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? What kind of services, the things that you do, how can people find you?
Well, I am a tarot card reader. I read palms. I do Obiabata. I do the shell readings. I also am a teacher. I teach Hoodoo. I literally have a Hoodoo 101 class this Saturday.
Do you do it virtually?
It is virtual. You can look at all my stuff at theloreXlease.com.
Oh, spell it out.
TheLoreXlease.com.
We'll do that again at the end.
Yeah, so I pretty much, I don't know. I do working. So I don't work without divination. So if you are looking for help, you have to get a reading first. And I manage Magic City Conjure. So I'm always working in the spooky.
Well, is there anything at all that you can think of? Maybe some advice, real quick advice. Somebody just wants to explore everything. What do I do?
I implore you to trust yourself. If it's something that is encouraged upon you, verify it. Trust within that you are moving within the coordinates that you are supposed to be moving in. I employ that on everybody because Hoodoo, Vodon, Voodoo, if you don't trust yourself, if you don't trust what you already know, if you are not confident within yourself, then none of these paths will do anything for you. Also, too, you do have to be accountable. Accountability is 9/10 of this. So you have to be accountable in what your actions that you are taking in your life now, and also what you put out to the world. So again, don't be looking for much if you're not putting much out. And again, just trust yourself. That's what this path is. It's welcoming and it's warm, and also it is daunting and it is sad and it is depressive, but it's rewarding.
But it's not scary.
No, it's rewarding. It's fulfilling because once you start moving and you see what your actions is doing for the world, it's the most fulfilling thing ever. And also, tips for Hoodoo people, don't just be out here doing stuff to do stuff, okay?
Right. You
do not need a path to fulfill you. It's great because it can be fulfilling, but don't just move into it to get something out of it, because you will not be doing this work for too much longer. So
be careful. Well, thank you so much.
I'm
so glad you came here.
I'm here too.
Okay, well, I will see you again soon.
Yes. All right, I shall.
Okay.
I'm Orifa Aleaseya, and you can reach me at theloreXlease.com. I offer tarot card readings, palm readings, ancestral readings, Obiabata readings. Also, I do consultations for fixed workings. And I also offer classes. So you can check that out at the TheLoreXlease.com. And let me help you learn Hoodoo and your path to Vudun Voodoo. All right, you guys. I'm going to give you a few books, a little walking guides for the basics. So the Hoodoo books, Work and Conjure by Hugan Simoise. It is a staple to have in your collection. He is great. He gives you proper workings, how to work with Hoodoo, the understanding of Hoodoo, and also Conjure, and why Conjure is so important to work in with Hoodoo. And then another staple piece that you need to have is Catherine One Way, or One Wude. Miss Aleaseya. She is great when it comes down to herbs, showing you different workings, breaking those workings down so you can have a better understanding of why those things are. Another one for Conjure and also Hoodoo is Denise Alvarado. She is a staple to have in your collection. She is really well versed in staples, how to create a strong foundation within Hoodoo. And also, moving towards Vodon and Voodoo, Yoruba religious concepts. This is a great beginner's book to really kind of give you a great breakdown of what Isheshe or Ifa is. That's the current practice that I practice right now. It gives you a really good staple, a clear understanding, and it even talks about the readings on here too, different style readings, and also ancestor paths. This is another good Vudun or Voodoo book for that. And then the Haitian Voodoo handbook. This is great for Haitian Voodoo if you have any curiosities about that, which is a different but very well-versed path to partake in. And then what else do I have? Oh, and Haitian Voodoo right here. This gives you a great breakdown on the Loa and what they are. Talks about gods. That's what the Loa are. Spirits, God spirits. And then this is a great Santeria and Lukumi and also Kondo Miamble book where it teaches you sacred herbs and how to work with those herbs and stuff of that nature. And also gives you a great foundation on how to start working. So yeah, these are your beginner books. Please go partake in them, okay? And if you got any questions, you can always find these books on MagicCityConjure.com. And that's about it.
Okay guys, I'm still here at Magic City Conjure, and I was browsing through the store, saw some really interesting items that would be perfect for a travel altar, and it got me thinking, why don't I share that with the viewers? So I've gathered some items together, and yeah, let's just get started. Okay, so we're going to start with what you need to carry your stuff in. Now, I have this box, but I usually use it for my bones. However, it's a perfect size to show you for a traveling altar to keep all your stuff in. We want an altar cloth. Now, this one folds out to a large square with a triquetra, but we're keeping it small because this is going to be used for travel. We want it in a little bitty space. If you did have a bigger space, you could open it up all the way, but not necessary. Usually something is represented in each quarter and also the center to represent the elements. We usually use like dirt or stones or salt, something to represent the direction of north, which is earth. We use a feather or incense or something like that to represent the east, which is air. In the south, we usually have a candle, and that represents fire. And in the west, we have something like a chalice or moon water or something like that to represent water. In the center, we like to have like a large pentacle or something similar to that that represents spirit. So with this, we're traveling, right? So we're going to use crystals to represent the different elements. In the north, earth, I have moss agate. So that'll be perfect for that. In the east, I have amethyst. So that is perfect for that. That represents air. In the south, I have carnelian. Represents fire. And in the west, I have sodalite, which represents water. Now, in the center, I do happen to have a pentacle that I found here at the shop. So we're going to put that there, but also on top of it, we're going to put a clear quartz crystal to represent spirit. The next thing you might want to have is like a wand or an athame or something like that. I just so happen to have this little tiny buffalo bone pick. And that's perfect to represent a wand. Now, it is feminine, so I'm going to put it to the left. A bowling is a good item to have. And this is used for cutting, different things like that. It's got a white bone handle. And this is actually used for cutting. With an athame, you just use it for the directions to cut energetic cords, things like that. But with a bowling, you use it to actually cut items. So we'll put the bowling right there. A smudge stick is a perfect way to cleanse your space. This is rose and white sage. I'm going to put it over here. And then I do have this cute little bag to put the crystals in, so whenever we're not using them and we want to put them in the box up there. So there's your little altar setup. Dragon's blood is a great oil to keep on hand. It adds power to any spell. It is pure energy, and it kind of gives the oomph to any of your rituals or spells that you're doing. So then you would have that. I also like to carry a clear quartz with me as well to contact spirit. So that can go to the side. And one other thing that I always have with me, if you don't have sage, I carry tobacco cologne with me. It's to clean my bones, okay? But I have it here. I can also use to cleanse my sacred space. You can put that up there. So there's your little travel altar. And just to let you know, all these items can be found in shops like the one I'm in now, which is Magic City Conjure. And it's here in Birmingham, Alabama. It is your Voodoo, Hoodoo, and Conjure supply store, as other magical practices. Hey guys, it's me, Atalanta here, and I am going to show you a quick little way to make a dream sachet. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. We already know how to make a dream sachet. This is going to be a little bit different. It's going to have a little bit of a twist. So the first thing you'll need is a little bag to put it in. These little Gardanza bags you get at the Dollar Tree are perfect. You get a bunch of them for like $1.25. So yeah, you can start with that. Now I am going to put my stuff into a plastic Ziploc because I'm making these for a friend of mine that does massage therapy. So they're going to be for her clients. So they're going to go in the Ziploc and then into the little Gardanza bag. Now we're going to put the normal stuff in there. We're going to start with chamomile. Okay. Now everybody knows use chamomile for like its calming principles, and I'm gonna put enough in there for like 2 sachets, I think. That way they can do the one and then do another one later, you know, pick back up with it. Anyway, so chamomile is good for like calming. You've probably heard of chamomile tea. So yeah, it's going to be a nice calming effect. Then you want to put lavender. Now I'm almost out of lavender, but I have enough for these. So you want to put just a little bit of that in there. I know these are all things you already automatically do, but of course we want the basics in there. The next herb, as I'm doing this, the next herb we're going to add is cinnamon. Now, here's my cinnamon. I don't know if you can see. There we go. So cinnamon is good for everything. It's good for protection. It's good for sleep. It's good for, I don't know, weight loss. It's good for nightmares. I don't know, it's good for a lot of stuff. Anyway, there's different types of cinnamon though. I didn't find this out until recently. And what I found out was there's a pure cinnamon, and then it was called a imitation cinnamon, which they're both the same. They're both edible. They're both fine. This is the regular cinnamon you get in the store, like a grocery store, and it's considered the imitation, the fake cinnamon, even though it's actually cinnamon. But the real cinnamon is a lot stronger, and like the bark is kind of flaked. So, so yeah, you can get that. what I do is I make little breaks of it. See, about this big, and that's what I put in there. So now we have our chamomile for calming, we have our lavender for calming and restful sleep, and then we have our cinnamon for like protection. If somebody wanted to lose weight, you can mention that. Just, you know, all the different things cinnamon is good for. Now, here's where the twist comes. I have, when I do chicken bones, when I process chicken bones, like I showed you in the book, I always have broken pieces. You know, you can't help that. So what I do is I put them in a little bag, and this bag is just full of a bunch of broken little pieces, like so, okay. This one's kind of big, but it's still broken. So yeah, don't throw them away, use them. So I use the bones to kind of prevent their thoughts from being scattered everywhere. You know how like racing thoughts, things like that when you try to lay down and sleep. So I'm actually going to put a chicken bone in here, like so. Okay, chicken bone. The next thing I'm going to put in, I have another bag that's got a bunch of buckeyes, okay, seashells and deer antler slices. So the deer antler slice would be used for, like, you know, if somebody lived in a like a loud apartment building where it's like a lot of noise at night, that kind of thing, you would want to use the deer antler slice because it is for home and hearth. Now, if somebody just needed protection, of course, the seashell can be used for that. But what I'm going to use is the buckeye. And the reason why is because buckeyes are for mental health and physical health too. But anyway, mental health, I'm going to put that in there. And now I have the chamomile, I have the lavender, the cinnamon, the chicken bone, and the buckeye. Okay, I'm going to seal that up. And over it, I'm going to pray. Now, you'll want to call in the elements. You know, you'll call in north for like the area, the stability of having the good dreams. You'll want to call in the east to, you know, whispering reassurance and things like that in their ear. The south would be the action, taking care of the situation, kicking out all these nasty negative thoughts. The west would be water, and that washes away like the negativity, or if it was the weight loss, you know, the overweight or the bad eating habits, washing away the negative energy, things like that. Then always don't forget to call in spirit, because that is the protector and the element that gives guidance. I also call in my ancestors because, as you know, I work with my ancestors all the time. So after that's all done, you call them in, you say your little prayer. It doesn't have to be anything special. You just pretty much want to reiterate what you're making the sachet for. And then, of course, you release the elements and the ancestors. You thank them all for being a part of it. And it's done. It's ready to go. So I hope you enjoyed that. Just a quick little video to kind of show you my twist on dream sachets. And I wish you well. Guys, I'm really glad you left. We're not in town or anything, so, you know, with this situation going on, it's kind of like, all right, what's happening?
This is our first time at the Oddities Expo this year, and it has been absolutely amazing, and definitely is going to be something that we do every single year. We've met so many great people, and we have learned a lot about phone reading, which is actually very, very interesting to us.
Well, thank you.
So, thank you.
We're on TV.
figure.
That little chihuahua
figure.
tongue, something
figure.
else. And then we got the little baby right here. Oh, it's a little baby. Yeah. And then chicken doesn't like her very much.
We got you.
And little scissor beak.
That concludes another episode of Everyday Witchcraft. I want to thank all of you for tuning in while I'm on location in Birmingham, Alabama at Magic City Conjure. And I also want to thank Aleaseya for coming on the show and explaining what Hoodoo, Voodoo, Conjure, all the differences are. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Blessed be.